professional theater for almost basically 5 years. I'm gonna do this kind of like a lecture style, and it's gonna focus more on like fabric because I was a seamstress, well still am. But I'm gonna try to delve into wig stuff. I found a really cool wig like for styled wigs tutorial, and I can show y'all towards the end. If y'all have any questions, feel free to ask me. We'll have a Q&A section later. Sound like a plan, y'all?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's start off with what's costume maintenance. It's the cleaning, repairing, and storing of a costume or anything you consider clothing, basically. And it's important because it's gonna affect the longevity of the costumes, or even your garment that you spent forever making. I know like a not costume example is when people get their wedding dresses preserved. And people pay a lot of money for that, apparently. And see, this is the tutorial I actually found online, and I can show y'all if we have time. They made that out of a cardboard box of fabric. So it doesn't have to be expensive, because I've seen wig boxes, they call it. They can be like $50. I'm like, who has that in this economy? But before we can talk about the maintenance, let's talk about the fabric choices, because the fabric choices that you make while you're making your costume is going to affect the way you clean it. So yeah. So this is the top of when you go buying fabric, you see like the bolts, right? R.I.P. Joanne, but usually you would see labels at the top of the bolt, and they'll basically tell you how to take care of it and what the fiber content is. Nowadays, we basically got the internet, but I would still look for the cotton or whatever fiber content it is. A cotton, in my opinion, usually will be easier to clean than a polyester, depending on the stain. And also cotton breathes, so during summer, while it does wrinkle more, it can be a pain to iron. It'll breathe, so you won't like feel like you're dying in your costume, especially in Georgia. And you like sometimes when people commission costumes from like, what is it, China, you'll see like these symbols inside of the labels, even in regular clothing. They're basically instructions on how to wash your costume. So like the 30, 40, 60, and 95, usually those are in not Fahrenheit, but the opposite of it. Celsius, so it is Celsius. And then the ironing one, so the X, if you see an X on top of a symbol, that means don't do what it is. So the iron one, obviously, if it has an X, don't iron it. And the dots from 1 dot to 3, 1 dot is low heat, 3 dots is, you can probably like use the hottest setting on your iron. And then the little box with the little circle in the middle, I believe that's drying. So obviously the X on top of the box means don't put it in your dryer. And then the other 2 is the level of the heat. Let's talk a little bit about the fabric content again. Polyesters and acrylics, like if you take a flame to it, if you ever want to figure out what kind of fabric it is, you could do something called a burn test, where you take a tiny swatch of the fabric and you light it on fire. Usually if it burns, it's like a cotton or an organic material, where something synthetic like a satin will melt. So just keep that in mind when you're picking your fabrics. And then this is a bigger chart of the one that I was telling y'all earlier. So depending on the combination, it's giving you specific instructions. We can try the example if y'all want. I also have this panel on my Instagram, so like if y'all ever want to refer back to it, I can give y'all the link. So the wash symbols, again, the X means don't wash it. You probably can get away with hand washing it. It's just you might mess it up. Depending on how much you spent on that fabric, I probably wouldn't. So the triangle means bleach. Anything with an X, we all know, do not bleach it. Non-chlorine bleach, I've never tried it, but I think use a swatch whenever you can. And the dry symbols are the box. So whenever you see a box, just think the dryer. The iron, we spoke about it. And circles usually mean dry clean. I haven't personally seen the ones at the very bottom, but if you do see them, we have the table here. Let's see. So now we can talk a little bit about the laundry. These are a couple of different methods that I used when I was working in wardrobe. We have the hand washing method, which is the basically old-fashioned one. We also have machine washing, and we have something I call a non-wet method, whereas you don't completely submerge it in anything. So let's move on. So when you're trying to figure out how to wash your costume, should I hand wash it or should I machine wash it? There's pros and cons to both. Usually hand washing is what I would go with, especially if you're worried about your fabric bleeding. A lot of my J fashion girlies know, or peoples know. If it bleeds and it gets everywhere, it can be a pain because you can't really reverse fabric bleed. So let me see. And another good thing about the hand washing is that you can literally, if there's a stain, you can attack the stain while you're hand washing it. Whereas like when you're just dumping it in your machine, it's not gonna like target stain specifically. Obviously machine washing, we're in the age of just throw it and forget it. Honestly, sometimes I do it. And it also uses less water most of the time, depending on how old your washing machine is. The con of it is depending on the fabric and how you sewed it, it can fray your fabric, it can damage it, and obviously the fabric bleeding. So let's move on to the non-wet cleaning. Usually I reserve it for costumes that you can't really put in a washer or hand wash, like mascots or even corsets. Like if you use metal in a corset, when you wash it, it'll like rust eventually. And often you can do that with dry cleaning. I have friends that will dry clean their costumes. But what we used in wardrobe, since we didn't have access to that, we used vodka. Obviously you don't want to use your good, expensive vodka. Like you want to get like the bottom of the barrel, like, yeah, any high proof alcohol for the most part that's unscented. You can dilute it if you want. We didn't do it, but we didn't want people drinking it. So what we used a spritz bottle, and we did it in the areas of concern, like the armpits, here, and then we put it in front of a fan and let it air dry. If it kept smelling, we kind of go over it again until it kind of faded out. But you don't want to soak it, because when you soak it, like the point is to kill the bacteria that makes it smell. So like if you're oversaturating the fabric, there's a chance that the vodka might not work, especially if like you dilute it. This is also really good for like your silks, stuff that you really can't wash without ruining it.
Extremely delicate.
Yeah. But yeah, let's move on. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of the stains. It happens. Cons are cons. Sometimes we get a little too lit. We drop some food on us. It happens. So let's start about how to get rid of them. Prevention is key. Treating them early is your best friend. I try to keep one of these on me at all times during cons. Read it before you use it, ideally. Like the longer that it sets in, or like even if you're going outside in the sun, it has the chance of it penetrating and it'll be harder later on. Ideally you want to treat it at the con or keep it moist, like that little piece that you're trying to get out. Because it'll just make it easier. Even like if you have to go to the bathroom and just like try to dab it with some hand soap to try to get like as much as you can out of it, that's better than just letting it sit and going all day until you get back to your hotel room.
What is the marker?
This is so it's a Tide to Go pen. This is good for most stuff, like coffee or like when you're going out to eat. My corporate people, this is your best friend because you never know who's gonna need it. Like oftentimes, I think I buy these on sale at Target. Sometimes it'll be like as cheap as like $2, and really it saves your butt. And like I'm gonna go into other methods that are like stuff that you can do at home, but this is really convenient. Also having like, what are they called? Hand wipes, like the antimicrobial ones. Those can save you in a pinch. But yeah. A tip for white costumes specifically is Scotch Guard. I know people use it for their sofas, but I had a friend who made a wiki cosplay, and she Scotch Guard that thing down, and it's still white to this day. Obviously, you want to use it, test your fabrics out, but if it's white and you're trying to keep it white, Scotch Guard is a secret weapon. And these are just the instructions. So shake the can, obviously test for the color, and then hold it like you're spray painting stuff. And then remember to let it dry, and then reapply after every cleaning to maintain it. But that will come in clutch, especially if you're wearing white at the bottom. So this is my secret sauce recipe, basically. This is how you can treat your stains post-con. I will say, OxyClean is your best friend, especially for my blue-collar workers. So my tried and true method usually is the Dawn and baking soda method because it's really cheap and you usually have it at home already. So I mix a ratio of 1:1, and you should make a paste. Let it sit for at least 30 minutes. Then you wash it with whatever method you need. Do not use hot water. Please do not use hot water. Try to use the coldest water you can find because hot water can actually sometimes set the stain in more. If it doesn't work, don't let it dry out. So if that one doesn't work, I usually move on to the grandmas. But this one you have to be careful too because depending on your fabric, it might not work. But grandmas, if I can't get it out, then I'll move on to the third method. But grandma, usually you can find that at Walmart in the laundry aisle. It's like a tiny little bottle, it's like $5. But that one, when I worked, so context, I used to work at the aquarium. So sometimes we would get like fish guts and all that fun stuff. And they would stain. If it can't get out with grandma's, we're like, I guess we're gonna have to replace these pants. So you use it, you kind of dab it like that on your stain. You let it sit for at least 15 minutes, then you wash it, no hot water, and then don't dry it. Then the next method I have for you, this one's really good for my blue collar workers. You use Dawn, baking soda, and OxyClean. You mix it into a paste. You let it sit for at least an hour. Then you wash it. If it doesn't work, try grandma's. So Dawn is the least, how do I say it, abrasive method. Grandma's is probably the most. So try going up. Pre-treating your, like letting your shirts and stuff soak, like blouses or pants, that'll get a lot of the smell out. OxyClean, I find anyway. But yeah. And then we have stuff called specialty stains. So ink, my people who work in offices, I know y'all understand my pain. There's different kind of inks. Ideally, I would like to see what kind of ink stain I'm working with. Most of the time, I find I have to deal with Sharpies. And when we use Sharpies at my job, we would use just rubbing alcohol and dab it, don't rub it in. And like, as you saturate it, so say I'm saturating it and then have a paper towel at the bottom, so almost it will like flush it out in a way. And then hand wash, obviously. With oil-based inks, I think we used oil-based Sharpies and it still came out with rubbing alcohol for the most part. And water-based inks usually will just come out with like Dawn. If you ever get blood on your cosplay, I know some of us have done that, try to spit on it. I know it sounds gross, but there's enzymes in your spit, especially when it's your own blood, it'll break it down, so it'll make it easier to get it out. You can use hydrogen peroxide too in a pinch, but The issue with hydrogen peroxide is that it can bleach your fabric. So if it's not white, I probably wouldn't do it. Grease, you want to probably use the baking soda and the Dawn paste recipe that I had the last slide. Makeup, I usually use the grandma's on like the collar area. But you can also use Dawn and baking soda if you don't have it. I was gonna mention another one and I can't remember right now. But if y'all have any questions on any specific stains, feel free to ask me. Because this is like one of my favorite things to do. Yes?
What about an ammonia compound?
Ammonia? That's really specific.
Like Clorox cleanup has got bleach in it, but Lysol doesn't.
I've never. I can't really answer that. It's hard.
My mom's favorite product for blood is a product called Pivot. That she can only find sometimes it's not widely available anymore, but that's what she uses for setting blood stains that you didn't get right away and use Fit on.
Oh, okay. You're gonna have to show me that later. But I will say, if you learn nothing else today, please know that heat is your enemy. Because it's gonna set the stain, and once the stain is set, it's kind of a pain in the butt. Like you're probably not gonna get it out.
Can't stop it.
I guess another thing is drying and storing your costumes once you washed it. How are you gonna store it? Bless you. I like air drying, especially when it's something that I really want to keep protected for a long time. So like think something as simple as like a concert t-shirt or even like your cosplay. I would find a rack, like a hanging rack, and then get like a box fan that's like $20 and just have them just dry out that way. The thing is, like, wherever you're gonna store your costumes, make sure it's super dry, because if you don't have air circulation in that room where you're storing the costume, it's gonna stink eventually, because you're gonna have like mildew. Even though you can do whatever you can, it's gonna smell after a while. Lower heat is better, obviously, because if it's still a stain on it, like it won't set, but like it's gonna take forever to dry. So it's really up to you, your costume benefit ratio. Obviously, you don't want to store your costumes like in front of the sunlight, because depending on the fabric, it can fade it out. And then depending on if you're like a sweater, if you hang it up too long, it's gonna stretch out. Same thing with like t-shirts. So what I would recommend is let it dry out and make sure it's completely dry, and then fold it neatly wherever you're gonna do. Put it in a box. Because the worst thing to happen is, oh yeah, I hung up my nice sweater and then I checked 6 months later, I was like, oh, this is stretched out, I can't really wear it anymore. So, y'all have any questions? Feel free to ask. Yeah.
So, like, I work at a collection site. There was one time I had one of these yellow work shirts where got injured and there was some blood on it.
Mhm.
You said that usually you spit and it would kind of deal with that, like, because I mean it's kind of stained in there, and I didn't think that. I thought some other stuff like I didn't think spit would probably do it. Like,
Yeah.
what was another option?
For blood, I think I used the grandma's one time because I had a trainer, she got injured, and eventually through enough washing or rubbing it out, grandma usually worked. But I will also try the other methods that I was telling you about. I've been recently using the Clorox stain remover. It can work. I'd just be worried depending on your fabric, but it's like a work shirt, so it should be fine. I'll show y'all if y'all don't mind. Let's see. So this one they sell for my Costco peoples. They sell this one and it's pretty cheap. And I found that it's pretty good. Like I'll use it almost like the replacement for grandma's. So I'll let it dab it in, make sure and it works really good for makeup too. Dab it in, let it soak in a little bit, and then put it in my wash cycle. But yeah.
My other question is about different aspects of makeup, which is like, what is the best way to get like creases out of something like organza?
Bestie, I got you.
Because ironing it is a pain, because I struggle to find the right temperature that could actually work but not use it.
This is a steamer. This is the best thing ever invented because you don't have to iron it. Ideally, I have like a cheap one from Amazon that's like $12. Eventually, like if you're really gonna use one, I want to eventually get one of these because you can hang it while steaming it, and then it has that little reservoir at the bottom, so you don't have to refill it as much. We use a fancy version of that at my job, but in a pinch, I have something like this, and I use it to steam like my work clothes because I work for the government. But that's really good because it's not gonna like heat damage your clothes. But it's kind of a pain because it takes forever. But that's good for organza. Any other questions? Yeah.
So like clothes degreaser, we had this old 996 bottle we got from my Momocon or something like that. Is that gonna be too harsh on like my standard cosplay? I say you have like real heavy like sweat stains or something from being outside.
What kind of fabric is it again?
I think it's faux leather.
Faux leather. Ooh, I got that question last time I did this. Faux leather, I would really be careful with washing it. I'd probably do like the vodka thing. If you're trying to get the sweat stains out, hand wash it. Don't put that thing in the dryer. Don't put it in the washing machine because that one's rough. But yeah, that's mainly the thing with like synthetics, especially like leather type of stuff. Eventually, it's gonna degrade.
Yeah. We can just use detergent, throw in the tub, cold water, hand wash for a while, and hang dry.
I'll be gentle with it, yeah. So like if you don't even want to use detergent, I just do Dawn. Like Dawn is like the goat of washing stuff. Like I know some people it says it can break them out, but I would just do like an extra rinse or like rinse it out really well. Try not to wring it while you get it wet though, because the thing is with like the leather, if it's stretch, you can the fibers can pull, and then this is good for like spandex too. So when you're washing it, let it dry, but try not to wring it out, because then eventually the way the fibers are made, it can leave it stretched out. If that makes sense. I saw a question over here. Yes.
Two questions. Can you go back to the cleaning method slide?
Yeah, I got you. This one?
Yeah, that last bullet point under no hot water was hidden.
There you go. No worries.
What does it say? Under no hot water?
No hot water. Do not drive. Stains present.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cut off on the screen.
Not
The
bad.
second.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Yes.
The second question I had is, what based ink is Sharpie?
Sharpie's alcohol based.
Okay.
So your Copics, your Sharpies. I'm trying to think of any other brands like the Copic markers. Those are usually alcohol based. So like if you have a Copic marker and it's dead, the old like cheap broke trick was to just dilute it with a little bit of alcohol, even though the color's gonna lighten up.
Okay.
So
I have a little bit of this is going back to the PU leather question. I have a little bit of Sharpie on that. Could I just do rubbing alcohol on it?
I would.
Okay.
Depending like if it's not like cracked and it doesn't look old.
Yeah.
Just like little what is it? The cotton swab.
Mhm.
Just go like that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yeah.
So for like prints, fabrics,
Mm-hmm.
fabric bleeding, how do you like prevent that? Like, so I have like cherries. How do I prevent the cherries bleeding into the white and then the green? Do I like?
My Lolita friend. That is the biggest conundrum with it. So there's this, I think it was Lovely Lore, if you know. She made a tutorial on how to wash your Lolita thing. So what she did, granted, this is the disclaimer, it may use the coldest water one.
It's an old baby.
Yeah, and that's the issue with like old dresses like that. What she did, if you want to, ideally I would hand wash it carefully, or even spot wash it, like wash the pits, like wash whatever got stains on it. If you want to risk putting it in the washer, what she did, she put it inside of a pillowcase, and then put it on like the gentle, like on the hand wash one. Let's see. Okay, that's not helping me, but there used to be like a hand wash cycle. So she put it in the hand wash cycle inside of pillowcases, like the cheap method. And then if you want to make sure it doesn't get out, she sewed it by hand put it in there, and then took it out.
Okay.
But also, I've seen this, and it does work. Color catchers when you're washing. And they're not that expensive. And you throw that in your washing machine with whatever you think might bleed. So yeah, good luck, honestly, because the vintage babies bleed a lot. That's why I don't want any.
Is that a powder or a sheet or?
It's a sheet.
Oh, okay. It's like
So-
dryer sheets.
It looks like a dryer sheet, but it's not a dryer sheet. So when I haven't seen these in the store in a minute. I think I ordered these from Amazon. But it looks like a dryer sheet, but you put it inside the wash when you're washing your clothes. And it catches the clothing. So like if you buy a new shirt or like anything, when you're pre-washing cotton fabric, like a red, specifically because red will bleed a lot. You throw that in there when you're pre-washing it, and it should catch the bleed, the dye that's leaching out when you wash it.
Mm.
Or even like when you're dyeing something, you can put that in there to catch the extra dye. Let me see if I can find.
The two other chemicals that quilters use, because quilters use a shit ton of pattern fabrics, are synthropol and retadine. Or retane. RETAYNE.
I've never heard of it, but the more you know. I haven't tried it, so
I haven't tried these either, but it's like the quilters also use dye catchers, and if dye catchers keep coming out colored, get yourself synthropol or retane and use that in the first few washes until the color papers come out clear, or still white.
What was the blood one you were talking about?
the blood one,
Oh, Vivid.
Vivid.
Can you try searching for that?
Vivid Color Fade Bleach, I think so. It does have hydrogen peroxide in there, but it also has a bunch of other stuff.
Oh,
It's
okay.
supposed to work on colored fabrics without bleaching them.
The more
Again,
you know.
Test it before you use it on any given fabric.
Huh.
Hey man, I'm excited about this. Honestly, I've never seen this in the store.
And what was the rectangle you said it was in order?
Yeah. RETAYNE is the other one.
R-E-T. Retane? This
Yeah.
one?
Yep.
And some of these look like they're dry cleaning stuff. There's this Instagram person that I follow, and he runs a dry cleaning business. So if I can find it, I'll be glad to share it. Let me see. And he even has a book.
Hmm.
Most of the filter techniques are going to work best on cottons because that's